You're on mute.
Good to know. It's always got to happen at least one time, right? So anyway, here we are. Welcome to everyone. I am Essence Wilson, Chief Strategy Officer at Communities First Inc. We are pleased to have you join us for this community candor session called In Case of Emergency. Community candor is a part of Communities First Inc.'s ongoing commitment to informing the public about issues that are of interest to them. So today we are going to have a conversation about what to do in case of emergency. And that sounds like something simple. Many of us have called 911 before. Many of us have had encounters with the fire department or the police department. But we're going to get some more in-depth information about what we can do to keep ourselves safe and keep others safe when an emergency arises. So we are going to start with Kenra. So Kenra Green, tell us who you are and what you do. Just give us your name and title and what that means.
My name is Candor Green, and I am a 911 dispatcher for Genesee County 911. So I take emergency calls. When you call 911, sometimes you will talk to me, and I also dispatch calls. We dispatch for fire, police, and ambulance, and we are just people that you talk to first to get the help to you in particular situations. I've been doing this for 10 years. 4 of them were Flint City, and the last 6 have been here at Genesee County 911.
Awesome, thank you. So now we'll hear from Deputy Chief Carrie Edwards-Clemens. Just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do.
So, hello everybody. I am Deputy Chief Carrie Edwards-Clemens with the City of Flint Fire Department. I have been for about 22 years now. And so I am the deputy chief over 40-hour and employees and training, and also community outreach and fire prevention and safety. So that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Awesome. And I've read your bio before, and she has the most credentials of anybody I've ever seen or met. And she has taken every class known to man having to do with fire prevention, fire safety. And so we appreciate all that you do in the community and your involvement. Trooper Kramer, can you just give us a little bit of overview of who you are and what you do? And you're muted. Your turn.
There we go. Happened to me too. Happens to all of us. My name is Stephen Kramer, a trooper with the Michigan State Police, currently assigned to the Flint post. My official title is Community Service Trooper and Recruiter. I've been with the department for 23 years. I actually hit my 23-year anniversary in March. I've been at the Flint post for about 8 years. I've moved around. I've been to 5 different worksite locations. I was in Richmond, then I went down to Detroit. I worked on a task force with the FBI and the U.S. Marshals, went back to Richmond, out to Lapeer, Sandusky, back to Lapeer, and then over to Flint. I've been doing the community service trooper for about 7 years now. My main role is community engagement. I've actually been fortunate enough to do a lot of community events with Deputy Chief Edwards with the city of Flint, and that's what we do. We, as the community service troopers, we try to stay engaged, work with the community, make ourselves known in the community. So I just thank you for inviting me here, giving me the opportunity to talk with you all.
Well, thank you, Trooper Kramer, for that. I've had a chance to know you for several years, and I will say that there have been times where we've reached out with an email and we've, heard back, thank you, got it received, and then the problem just gets taken care of behind the scenes, and we are just so appreciative of all that you do in the community as well. So we will come back and talk with Kenra a little bit. So when somebody calls 911, I know that you said you previously worked for Flint and now you're at the county. What happens when somebody makes a call to 911?
The biggest thing I would like for everyone to know is anytime you call 911, we are going to ask questions. I know for the citizens, that's one thing that annoys them, but that is our job. I am there to get information to hand you off to the appropriate department. And if I don't know what's going on with you, I can't get you the appropriate type of help. So we don't ask the questions because we're nosy. We ask them because we need to know. And so they should be prepared for questions. Be prepared to give us exact answers like address, That is the biggest thing with 911. And I know everyone won't know exactly where they are, but tell us an intersection, tell us a landmark. Like expressways are the worst. You would be surprised how many adults do not know where they are on the expressway. They'll tell us that they're going southbound on 69. 69 only runs east and west. So so a location is very, very important. And you need to know why you're calling 911. You know, what do you need help with us, from us? You need help with what type of situation? Why exactly are you calling? What happened that you felt like you need to dial 911? So those are some of the major things there when calling 911.
And so, I mean, I think that's a good reminder. Always be aware of your surroundings. Know where you actually are, not just when something happens, right? But before something happens. We should always know, generally speaking, like where we are, or be able to ask somebody in the place where we're located. And if we have an emergency situation, knowing those details about what happened and, you know, what the situation was, extremely important. So I thank you for reminding us of that. So can you give us just an idea of what that questioning looks like? So you're going to ask, you know, where the person is, what happened, and then kind of how does the call progress? What happened?
So for me, the best way I can describe it, like I like to try to tell the trainees when we get new people here, the best way to do it is we are the first step in you getting your emergency help. So we're not there on scene. So my questions are helping you paint a picture for me of what's going on. And then I can therefore reiterate that picture to my dispatcher, who can give it to the police or the fire department that's coming. So what you're going to know is where we're going. We're going to want to know why we're going. We're going to want to know when this happened. And maybe are there any weapons that are particularly involved? And they need to know who they're looking for. So we're coming to your house because you're potentially having a domestic and it's with your boyfriend. So we need to know his name. We need to know what he's wearing, if he drove a vehicle, if he came in a car, if he rode a bike. All of that is important because as I'm sending my officers to you, they could drive past him and he could get away because you haven't given me the appropriate information. So our questions are absolutely necessary and they're for a reason. And the more you cooperate with us, the easier it makes the phone call go and the quicker it makes the phone call go. When you get mad and you're fighting with us, it just makes it take even longer because we still have to get that information. I can't just get an address from you and send my officers there because for like Deputy Chief Carey or Trooper Kramer, like I'm sort of responsible for their safety as well. So I want to make sure when they get to you, they're safe. Everybody there is safe because I want them to go home at night as well as I want you to be safe. So I don't want to send them into a situation blind. I need them to know what they're going into so they know what they have to do.
Yeah. And I will kind of follow that up. You know, it's important to keep our public safety officials safe as well. So Deputy Chief Edwards or Trooper Kramer, how helpful is that for you to have the information that you need in terms of keeping your team safe as well?
Well, so for the fire department, it's crucial that she obtains the information because we know fire. And so if there's a fire, we know that danger. But any other danger, we wait until the situation is taken care of by the police before we go on scene. We have to make sure that that scene is safe for our firefighters as well. And so we will be staging the distance until dispatcher informs us that the scene is safe. And so that's very important that they know what they're sending us into so that we can be prepared. Once again, we're prepared for fire, but there are other things that present themselves on the scene that we're not prepared for. And so it's very important that the dispatcher gets the good information so that we know not to just run into the scene, that the scene is safe for us as well.
Thank you. Trooper Kramer, same question.
I would say it's very critical for us, you know, for all the different types of scenarios or scenes that we may be responding to. We need to know what personnel needs to be there, what, any specialty equipment we might need. We kind of need to know what we're walking into. And like Kinra said, when they're asking the caller all of the questions, we're asking the dispatcher all of those questions, which is why she's asking them to you. The dispatcher is kind of the middleman playing the relay of information, because that's all stuff that myself and I know the fire department that we need to know. It's very critical. Family trouble, that doesn't tell me a lot. That could range anything from they're having an argument to a disorderly child to there's been a weapon involved in an assault. I mean, obviously each of those provide a different challenge for us and changes our level of approach. So the proper information helps us address each issue and each scene properly, so that we know what we're walking into. Nobody likes to be surprised. I don't care in what aspect of life. And it's when we're surprised that things usually go south, because, we were expecting one thing and it turned out to be another. And that's, like I'm sure Deputy Chief can attest to, when seconds matter, minutes is too long. So it's critical that those dispatchers get the proper information for us.
Thank you for that. I think so. The point here to reiterate for everybody is when the dispatcher is asking you questions, they're asking you because they need to know the information to make sure that people are safe and so that you can get the assistance that you are calling about. They're not asking because they're nosy. Okay, so that's something really important to realize. Now I'll ask this question, and the question is, what happens if you accidentally call 911? And I want to preface that with, I remember being a small child and accidentally on purpose calling 911 because most kids, they want to see what's going to happen, right? And so I had a friend and her phone number ended in 4911. And so my excuse was, oh, I was calling her number and the phone must not have worked properly and didn't dial the first part. And so I'm not advising anybody to call 911 just to see what happens. But Cameron, can you tell me what would happen if someone accidentally called 911? And I know that some of the phones and devices, the way that they're set up, they'll dial for an emergency under certain situations. So I'll also say my daughter the 2-year-old has used my husband's iWatch his Apple Watch to mistakenly call 911. So what happens when that occurs?
Well, the biggest thing I want to say is we get a lot of, I thought I could hang up before it caught you. It does not. You can let the phone ring for a millimeter of a second and it's going to come through to 911. So essentially we call you back and just try to see if there's an emergency or something that we can help you with. If there is an open line, we do listen to see if there's some sort of trouble or something like that. And try to get a location, but that's not, it's easy. It's not as easy as people think it is. It's nothing like you see on TV. We don't track phones or anything like that. So it's really hard to get a location if you don't tell us. It's not easy at all. And like Trooper Kramer said, like seconds matter sometimes, with minutes. When you're taking minutes and you're trying to track down this person and you're trying to see if you can get the cell phone company to ping the phone. So it comes through, we'll call you back. If you don't answer, we typically leave a message. If we didn't hear any trouble in the background, we just try to talk to somebody and make sure that everything is okay.
So we have a question that came in, and the question says, if someone calls 911 and they mute their phone, will the police officer still come? So the example is if someone's in a kidnapping situation, but they don't want to let the kidnapper know. So I'll ask that question to you, Kenru. If somebody were to call in and mute their phone, what would you do?
I do apologize because my computer was frozen. So can you repeat the question for me?
Sure. So the person asked, if someone calls 911 and mutes their phone, will the police still come? The example they gave was if someone was in a kidnapping situation but didn't want to let the kidnapper know.
Oh, it's really hard to answer that question because what we're looking for is some sort of signification of trouble. Like if you're in a situation like that, I don't expect you to say, hey, I'm being kidnapped. But if you leave the line open and you're screaming or you're yelling for help or you're talking to that person in the background, like, why are you doing this? Can you just let me go? I just want to go. Like, we need some sort of signal that, hey, everything's not okay here. And then from there, we can do our best to try to locate you. But just like an open line, you would be surprised how many calls we get with just open lines, and not kids. You get adults sometimes that call in here and just leave the phone open, and not accidentally. And we get a lot of calls. Like, we do about 450,000 calls a year. So it is, it's hard to sit with every call and try to determine if a person is having help when I have other people calling in that are telling me that they're having help. So we just need some sort of signal. Like I said, even if you scream and say help and then mute your phone, fine, we can do our work from there. But just signal us that everything's not okay here.
Yeah. So I think that's a really important point, that you guys receive so many calls and so many people that either just leave the line open or they hang up or they mute the phone, maybe because they don't want to get in trouble for calling 911. So it's important, if you truly do need help, but you don't feel comfortable speaking and saying, the traditional, this is my location, this is what's happening, that somehow you get a signal to that 911 dispatcher to let them know that there is something wrong, so that they can send help. So at this point, we're going to transition to talking with our Deputy Chief, Carrie Edwards. And can you just tell us about the fire department and what types of, how does the fire department help the community? So aside from the obvious, there was a fire, right? I know that you guys do much more than that.
Right. So we do fire extinguishment, of course, and we do provide first response EMS services. And so we do not transport, but our firefighters do arrive on scene to stabilize the patient. So we call that medical first response when we're dispatched. And also we do fire prevention and education in the community. And so we go to schools, we go to community centers, senior homes, apartment complexes, and we provide fire prevention education to all, because this is like a chain. It's like a chain of survival. And so if you have smoke alarms or you know what to do, then the danger is lessened because you can escape and our firefighters don't have to go in to do a rescue. I say all the time that firefighters will risk a lot for your property, but they will risk their lives for your life. And so we do a lot of community and fire prevention so that we can minimize that situation. We also do code enforcement and building inspection, so that like if you're walking into a company as a resident or as a customer, we want to make sure that that facility is safe for you. So on the front side of that, we do code enforcement and we do inspect those buildings to make sure that they are safe. And so we also do a lot of community training and community education and training within the fire service. So that's just some of the things we do.
And so this conversation is allowing me to reminisce a lot. And I remember as a kid doing fire safety training and creating an emergency plan with my family and all of those things. But for those of us who are adults now, we probably haven't had those conversations in a while. Can you just refresh our memory on creating a fire safety plan and exit plan? Just some of those tips, since it's been a little while since we were in elementary school and went through that.
Yeah, and so what I want to tell individuals when we're doing a fire plan is that everybody in your house have to be aware of this plan. So in each room of your house, you have to have two ways to get out of that room. So it could be a window, it could be a door, but you need two ways out of every room. But one of the things when you're creating a fire plan is you have to have a meeting place. A meeting place is a designated location on the outside of the home that if there's a fire in your house, everybody, you, your children, they know to go and meet at this place away from the house. So you can't have a fire in the house and then meet in the basement or meet downstairs. You need to get out of that house and have a meeting place. It only works if everybody know where this meeting place is, and you have to practice. So part of that meeting plan or safety plan is having working smoke alarms and working CO2 detectors. Of course, don't put it in the kitchen because some of us don't cook as well as others. And so you need to have working smoke alarms on each level of the home. And now the new NFPA standard is to have one in every sleeping room. So once you pick this designated location outside of the home, whether you or your husband or your kids come out of the bedroom, the basement, the kitchen, the back door, the front door, a window, they know that to meet in this place. Once you get out of the house, don't go back in for any reason. That's why the fire department is coming. If you've seen our trucks, we drive pretty fast. We're coming, and not only that, we're prepared to come in and get you. You can't breathe smoke. You can't withstand the fire. You can't withstand the heat. So that's why they have the fire gear. They take their own air in. They have tools to extinguish the fire so that they can make those rescues. And so it's really difficult when you're outside and your child is inside to stay outside. We all know that. It's difficult when your mom or dad is inside and you're outside. But the best place for you is at that meeting place so that when firemen come, you can reduce the amount of time we spend on the outside searching the entire house by saying, okay, mom's bedroom's on the second floor and that's the last place I saw her. Then we're coming to that direction, understanding that you probably did come out or you could be other places. But if we can get to you, we have a RIT pack, a RIT team, we have people there, we're bringing oxygen to you. And we're trying to get you out of danger. And so the meeting place is so important. Get out, stay out, and don't go back in. But you have to practice. You have to check those smoke alarms twice a year, or whenever you walk by and feel like checking it, check it. Okay? What a lot of people don't understand, Essence, is that smoke alarms, CO detectors, they do expire. Just like the fire extinguisher. If you look at the bottom of it, it expired. A lot of us haven't looked at that thing since we bought the house and it was under the sink in the corner. It's probably still there in the box. And so take it out, look at it. There's an expiration date on it. Smoke alarms, changing batteries. Okay, we have more updated method in smoke alarms at this time. They come with 10-year lithium batteries. So if you're still changing batteries, okay, you might want to replace that. Part of the safety plan and meeting place is being notified. So you got your carbon monoxide detectors and you got your smoke alarms. But not only that, once you have your meeting place, it's very important that you practice. Okay. If you're sleeping upstairs, there's a way to get up, because a lot of people know when you die in a house fire, it's mostly due to the smoke because we can't breathe it, as opposed to getting burned by the fire. And so if you're upstairs and you're sleeping and an alarm goes off 2 or 3 in the morning, you know you're not cooking. Okay, open your eyes. Open your eyes, because smoke, it goes high and then it starts coming down. The cleaner air is down low. Open your eyes. If you see smoke, roll out of bed, crawl on the floor. Keep your door shut. And this is hard for us moms that have teenagers. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is very hard not to see what's going on in my hallway. But that's another barrier between you and the smoke and you and the fire. Okay, it's very important. Keep your door shut. Once you crawl over to the door, feel the door at the back of your hand. If it's hot, don't open that door, because something's on the outside of that door making that door hot, and you're going to let it in. Okay, and so once you get to the stairs, if you're on the second floor, crawl down. Safety ladders, second story escape ladders is another tool. You should have a toolbox, which includes safety ladders if you have a second floor home, only for a house. They're not made for apartments, okay? And you should have smoke alarms, you have CO2 detectors, you should have fire extinguishers, and you should have, not the extension cords, but the power strip with surge protector. And so all these things are part of equipping your home and part of that safety plan, which includes the fire safety plan and the meeting place on the outside. I'm trying to talk fast because there's so much I could say, and I'm trying to put it down a little bit. I want to take up everybody's.
I know. Well, and that's the thing, is this may open the door to future opportunities for us to hold a specific education session with you, because I think the information is extremely important. And again, once you've left elementary school, there's not a refresher course in what to do when there's a fire. And so I thank you for all of those tips that you provided us and kind of refreshing our memory and walking us through that, because it is extremely important. And I've read that the worst time to prepare for an emergency is when you're in the midst of one, right? So these are things that we all need to be thinking about and considering so that we can be safe and hopefully prevent an emergency. And if we do encounter one, that we're prepared and ready for it.
Right.
So we're going to move on and talk to Trooper Kramer for a little bit. And so can you tell us what the roles and responsibilities of the police are?
I know it sounds pretty simple, but our biggest responsibility is safety. That's the whole reason that the law enforcement exists. It's not to, although it's a side effect of the job, our job is not to write tickets and arrest people. Those things are side effects of how we keep communities safe. And that is our main role. That's what we're there for, responding to emergencies, no matter how big, no matter how small. I want people to know that is our job. It's to keep people safe, not to get people in trouble. Those things are all things that happen because we're trying to do our job first and foremost. I'll say it again because it's that important. Safety is our primary goal of everybody. The community is first.
I like how you worked in our name there, Communities First. I appreciate that. That's a nice touch. You score brownie points for that. So it does seem like a simple charge, right, to keep people safe, but I know that entails a lot of things, and officers encounter a lot of different situations. But in your role as a community officer, can you just tell us some of the events and activities and things that you're involved in?
Myself personally, being one of the community service troopers, there's two of us. I have a partner, Caitlin Hammond. She's kind of on maternity leave right now. But I do anything from, like Deputy Chief Edwards, I've been with her at different community school events, community events, safety events. We do a lot in the schools. We are engaged in the schools throughout Genesee and Shiawassee County. We do education programs from kindergarten up through high school. We are extremely involved in human trafficking belonging to the task forces from each county and for the state overall. I give lots of presentations even to the community. I'm pretty involved with Flint Neighborhood United in the city of Flint, attending their meetings. I give tons of presentations on human trafficking, active shooter presentations, things like that through networking. We try to go anywhere that we're invited, but my biggest role is doing community outreach. We do lots of community charity events. We host different events for the community. One of our big ones is the Stuffed Blue Goose, the toy drive that we do every year. We've got another one. It's actually at the Post tomorrow. It's Purses with a Purpose. We're working in conjunction with women's shelters, things like that. We do. I do a lot of the Shop with the Heroes, around Christmas time. But the schools is probably our biggest focus. We give, like I said, starting at kindergarten, anything from stranger danger on up to domestic violence, relationships, different things like that. But I attend a ton of community meetings, as this one here. I really enjoy getting invited to these to let people ask questions and to tell people, kind of some truths. I like to tell people you might not always like the answer, but most people respect the fact that they're getting one. I won't ever blow smoke. I don't pull punches. Our department, I believe in, there's always mistakes made, but for the most part, our department, my boss at the Post, Lieutenant Yvonne Brantley, is extremely transparent. She's very available. She gives us the tools as community troopers to do the job that we need to do. Just last Saturday, I did a cleanup event over in the 7th Ward. Somebody was putting that on. I got the email, so I showed up. Yes, I put on gloves. Yes, I was picking up trash. I was down on my hands and knees. But that's the role of my job. I think the biggest thing is if the community sees us as people first and realize that we just have a job to do, I think things go a lot better. Most of the time, as today, I show up in a polo, maybe some fatigue pants, because I want the community to engage with me. I've been told, I don't really like the police, but I like Steve. He's okay. I like talking to him. And if that's all it is, I'm fine with that. I get lots of I'll just say anonymous tips, information, things like that. And people trust that I'm not going to tell everybody who this was, because I don't care where the information came from as law enforcement. That's a big misconception out there about the whole snitches thing. And we don't care where it came from. We're not telling anybody where it came from. Our goal is to fix the problem. I can't fix the problem unless I know where that problem is at. So my role, long story around it, like Carrie, I could talk for hours about what I do because I enjoy it. But my biggest role here is community outreach. I will go, we don't solicit, but I will go. I attend as many events and functions as I can. My schedule is extremely flexible. Weekdays, weeknights, weekends. If I can make it work, I will, because I think it's important. I think, being in the community, for the community to trust us, we have to be trustworthy, which is why our role was implemented in the state police, over a decade ago. Every post has a community service trooper, and I think it's helped a lot. Like I said, because even with kids, everybody's first experience shouldn't be because something's wrong, which is why I like hosting events. We did the Light Up the Cities in the summers. I know Carrie attended a lot of those, and that was just block parties with kids. And, some of them that are the most fearful of you when they show up are literally hanging on to my leg when it's time to go because they're having a good time. And that's why I like this job. My role, I was on the road for 17, 18 years and been doing this the past several. I like this better. This makes the rest of the road troopers' job easier because I can make that connection a little bit in the community, and I think that that's vital.
Yeah. And I think that experience for those 17 and 18 years of being on the road probably helped you to do your job better as well. And I think both you and Carrie talked about you could talk forever. And I will say that we prefer that to the people that give the one-word responses, because I can always cut you off, but it's hard to just pull out information from some of the folks that don't have much to say. And so you talked about, we've talked about what to do if there's an emergency situation and calling 911. And then Trooper Kramer, you mentioned that you follow up on a lot of tips. What's the best way for the public to get a tip to Michigan State Police?
Calling Central Dispatch, calling the 911 number. You can call the post direct. One thing I really want to preach out there, I work a lot with Julie Lopez from Crime Stoppers, because I know a lot of people are still skeptical, a little hesitant about their information. Crime Stoppers truly is anonymous. It's filtered through so many different channels that there's no way to even trace where that information comes from. But Crime Stoppers, when they get tips, those are submitted to the state police. We have a web page where you can submit tips online. The biggest way is a phone call and email to me. My email address is kramerS1, KRAMERS and the number 1 at michigan.gov. What I do with a lot of that information is I forward it to the appropriate chain of command that would handle that information. I usually don't respond, and that's because some people don't want to be, then they feel like they're being followed or checked up on. I just go and essence, like you said, it just gets taken care of because I forward it where it needs to go. But the best thing to do is make a phone call, shoot an email. Even we tell kids there's the OK to Say program. A lot of schools have different anonymous tip sites. We don't care how you do it, but I will pitch Crime Stoppers because a lot of people still kind of trust Crime Stoppers a little bit, that they are anonymous. And I will back them up on that. And that's still a good avenue to use, as well as calling us, you can call the post direct or calling Kenra over at 911. If you want to give them some information, they're going to take that information. And then even that's appropriate because then they can give it to the agency that needs to have it. I've gotten phone calls or information before, specifically maybe about the city of Flint. Well, the city of Flint needs to know about that too. We are in the city of Flint and we can help with that, but that's something I also will relay over to the city of Flint as well.
Yeah. So just to piggyback off of that though, absolutely you can call into 911. The only thing we ask is that you're as specific as possible with your information, because I think a lot of people don't understand, like he just said, central dispatch. We are just that. We are central. We dispatch for 27 different police departments. So you call and you're like, yeah, y'all looking for Michael Smith? We're like, who is that? And who wants him and for what? And so we don't have that information just readily at hand. Sometimes sometimes there's shootings or robberies or something, and they will leave the information with us, but we don't always have it readily at hand. So if you don't know where it happened, who's looking for him, and the person's name, like complete name and an age or birth date, so we can look that person up in the system to see if they have warrants or something, that is so helpful. People always give us bits and pieces, and they want us to fill in the blank, but it's really, really, really hard sometimes. So just as much information, there's never too much information. So give us everything you have, and we can do what we need to do with it.
So what I'm hearing is that there are multiple ways of getting information to the police department. And that could be Michigan State Police, that could be the Flint Police. They will get the information where it needs to go. So there is a question that's asked, if you want to stay anonymous when they're calling 911, is that a possibility? Because I know that you guys do ask for the name and the phone number for callback.
Absolutely. And we ask because we have to. If you don't want to leave your name, it's absolutely not a problem. And it's really funny because sometimes that's where calls take a left turn. You're like, what's your name? Why I gotta leave my name? And you're like, just okay, so you want to be anonymous? All right, we're okay with that. Thank you. Like that's all you have to say. I don't want to leave my name. I'm not comfortable. I want to be anonymous. And that's fine. We won't press you for it. So you absolutely can say you don't want to leave your name.
Okay. So in another flashback to my childhood, I don't know why this is about my childhood today, but I will say that the community officers are extremely important, and they do build goodwill. I can remember the DARE program when it was in Flint Community Schools. I remember my DARE officer, Officer Yancey. I remember him coming in and doing his presentation, and I will say I was a success story. Not everybody in our class was, right? To be one of those people who didn't try, drugs. And it was that relationship. When I saw him out in the community, I knew that there was somebody out there that was watching, somebody out there who knew me by name. At least I thought he did, right? And who I felt like was really looking out for me. And I think that, Trooper Kramer, you project the same sort of sentiment. And there are community officers also in the Flint Police Department as well. And we've had an opportunity to get to know a couple of those officers, and they're doing a fantastic job trying to build goodwill with the community and help people to feel safe. And somebody did put in the comments, Trooper Kramer, when you said that you guys want the public to see you as people. And the person basically said, and that's what we want as well, right? And so I think that just speaks to a desire by the public to just be seen as people going about their daily business. Obviously, there's some people who do things that they shouldn't do, but building that relationship with the community helps there to be that mutual understanding.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that. And that's the whole thing, when I say see us as people, so that it's mutual. I had an old, he's a commander now in the department, but he said, the thing about the community and law enforcement, there's always been this disconnect over the last 20, 30 years or so. But in essence, we want the same thing. We want the bad element gone. So, if we can work together, find some common ground, in the end, we want the same things. We shouldn't be fighting each other while we're at it. And a lot of that, I will take responsibility for law enforcement. We did a real poor job of community policing over the last 20 years. My dad was a police officer in the city of Detroit for almost 45 years. They walked beats, they had constant communication. There was no air conditioning. So even when you drove around, talking with my dad, the windows were down, people would talk to you, things like that. And we got away from a lot of that, thinking, law enforcement, we're just here to do this. And now we've kind of changed our tune, saying, you know what, that didn't work. Same person, one of my old post commanders also said, you cannot arrest your way out of a situation. Things don't work that way. The community has to trust you before they'll let you police them. Like my father said when he got promoted to sergeant, these people that you're commanding have to let you be their boss first. They have to know they can trust you. They have to know that they can look up to you. They have to know that, even when you mess up, that they'll deal with it appropriately, not over the top, things like that. I'm the first one. I have excellent bosses at the post. If I do something I shouldn't have, I'll tell them before they have to find out about it. But that keeps that trust and that respect going with them. It's the same thing with the community. I think sometimes law enforcement needs to just come out and, hey, maybe we didn't handle this appropriately. How can we work with you guys to fix this or to make things better? I think in recent years, since I've been at the Flint Post, is all I can attest to, and working with the city of Flint Fire and Police Department, I think we've got a pretty good working relationship, that we're not fighting with each other, that we all have the same thing in mind, common ground. And I think we do a pretty good job community policing. I know even in the height when other states were having issues, Michigan and especially Flint didn't. I think that is a huge kudos to our command of all the local agencies of extending the line of communication, and these groups and organizations took that and were more than willing to talk with everybody and work on things so that they could still get their message across, but that we could do it, and here comes that word again, in a safe manner for everybody, because that's our goal, not stopping people from expressing views, opinions, things like that. We just want to make sure everybody's doing it safely.
Yeah. I know, just talking about the recent past, there is a lot of anxiety for people if they were to get stopped by the police. And, it's one of those things, it's just a tough thing all around, and can be very emotional for all parties involved. So Trooper Kramer, what advice would you give to someone if they were stopped by the police?
I guess the couple things are, you have to realize it can be scary for some people. It's scary for us too. I don't know you. I don't know your backstory. I don't know where you're coming from. All that stuff. So to the community, I would ask that you try to keep that in mind too. This, generally speaking, it's not personal. We stop violations, not people. I know there's a whole lot of stories to the contrary out there, but generally speaking is all I can speak in terms right now. We're stopping a violation, not the person. When we stop you, we want to feel safe and comfortable also. So the more safe and comfortable you make us feel, the more safe and comfortable we can make you feel at the same time. When I go up to a traffic stop, what I want to, turn the radio down, it shouldn't be blaring, hands up on the wheel. A lot of people they see, oh, here come the police. Let me start, especially in today's day. And I don't know what you're reaching for. I would rather you just sit up there with your hands on the wheel, one arm out the window, whatever, so that I not making a lot of movements around. That puts me at ease. If I can see your hands, I know you're not doing anything that can hurt me. And that makes the whole transaction go a lot smoother. My introduction is, hello, state police. Do you have your driver's license with you? People hand over that. The reason for the stop is such and such. And, do you have your registration, proof of insurance? I keep it I try to, again, continue to treat them like people too. You're not a criminal because you committed a traffic violation. That's why we call them civil infractions, not criminal offenses. I will ask for your information. I do have to tell you why I stopped you. If you're getting pulled over and released and somebody didn't, I would call that, call the, and sometimes it's just an oversight. Maybe they're out looking for something and things happen. Let the immediate supervisor know, hey, I got stopped. He didn't tell me why. I just thought you should know this, because that's a training issue for us too. It's not always bad intent, but it is something for us to address. And our bosses want to know about that. Our bosses specifically, if you were pulled over by a trooper and you feel you were mistreated, everything is recorded. They want to know about that also. And believe it or not, the rest of us police officers, we don't like the bad ones either, because it makes our job harder. It's just one of those things. I see somebody pull over. Do you have to allow an officer to search your car? No. They may ask. If an officer asks for consent to search the car, you can either give it or deny it. Where I do not need consent or anything like, and that would be a whole nother topic. I apologize to the person who asked the question, but to touch on it briefly, unless I have probable cause on scene. I can see something. I see a gun in the car. I see a pack of drugs in the car. If you're under 21 and I see an alcohol bottle in the back seat, I can now search there. I don't need your consent or permission. I can search the scope of the driver's reach. That's a whole another topic for discussion, because again, that would take another hour to talk about search and seizure law. But just generally. Another question came in, a good thing here too to bring up: if you're a concealed pistol holder, you have to let us know that. Again, and most people do, they have their hands on the wheel. Hello, Trooper Kramer, State Police. Do you have your license with you? Yes, sir. I want to make you aware too, I also have a CPL. It's on my right hip. That makes me feel so much better right now. It's kind of opened up that trust avenue of, hey, cool. You know, okay, sir, can you do me a favor? Just leave your hands up on the steering wheel for me. I'll be right back. You know, and we take care of business like that. I have to treat you like a person, and also that we ask is for the same in return. Traffic stops, I can tell, and I know there are bad things out there that happen. I can tell you, the side of the road is not the place to have that argument. Only bad things happen from there. Even if you feel you are in the right, no good can come of that. I tell that to my friends and family too. I don't care even if you think you're right, now's not the time to deal with that. Take your information, just if anything, keep your mouth closed and deal with that with the appropriate authorities after the fact, whether it be their supervisor, whether it be the court systems, because I want everybody to go home safe at the end of the day. I don't know if that's my family or friends getting stopped by, and they are out there. I'm not saying they're not the rogue police officer or anything like that. I want my family to stay safe and to go home at the end of the night. We can deal with that at a later date.
Yeah, I think those are some great points, some great tips. And I think, you know, what I'm really hearing you say is stay calm in the situation as best you can, because if the person is experiencing anxiety and they start to get upset, you know, it's a back and forth thing and it starts to escalate. And then also, I appreciate you saying that when you're stopped, they're required to tell you the reason for the stop. Because that's something that we've often heard about, that, you know, people don't know why they were stopped, or they start to ask that question and they don't get an answer or response, which again is one of those things that if you don't know why you were stopped, you're not getting an answer to that question, things start to escalate. And giving us a path to address any deficiencies that we might see with that particular officer, with their superior, is really helpful, because that gives us an avenue instead of handling it right there at the time in the situation. And so there was a question that came in, and this question is for everybody. And I think we'll give Kendra the opportunity first, and then Deputy Chief, and then we'll come back to you, Trooper, if you have, Trooper Kramer, if you have comments. But basically, we have some folks on that are from the Disability Network of Mid-Michigan, and they just want to know about your experience working with people with disabilities as you are going about your job.
Well, one of the easiest ways, though, is for us, the deaf community, we have the telerelay, and that usually works great because they have a oh my God, the word is leaving me, but they have someone that is signing for them, and they let us know what they're saying. So, but other than that, it can get a little tough sometimes. You have to have a lot of patience. Like, if you get people sometimes that have a speech impediment, or like they said, some type of disability, and they can't properly display to you what's going on. So a lot of the times you just have to be patient, and you have to work it out the best way you can. We don't particularly have exact training or tools or anything for that. It kind of just comes with your experience with being a 911 dispatcher. You know, you have to learn, you know, if they can't really give you complete sentences, you have to break it down to yes or no. You know, and sometimes by certain words, you can kind of piece together what's going on. So we just have to use our experience and our skills, you know, to try to figure out what's going on with the person with a disability. But we try to be patient and work as hard as we can to find out what's going on so we can get you help as well.
Thank you for that. And Deputy Chief?
So what we have at the fire department, we do have some type of training because we have a lot of incidences at senior centers, nursing homes, and things of that nature. And so we do have training on how to respond and how to react, and as well as search and rescue. Because a lot of times you'll say, okay, don't use the elevator. So you got a person in a wheelchair that's on the 6th floor. And so we go in, and that's why we have the training where we go to the apartment complexes, we go to the senior centers and the nursing homes so that we can educate beforehand, because if we can get them educated and show them the best ways to proceed in the event of emergency, then like you said, the time to practice and to go through that is not when there is an emergency. So we do offer that, as well as we try to equip them with some things like smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. We don't have the strolling lights. And so I'm seeking funding to get the strolling lights for those that are visually or hearing impaired. And so we're trying to work that, but we do have preference for seniors. We have a smoke alarm install program. We do have a preference for people with younger children. And so it's that middle ground that, we'll give you a smoke alarm, we'll come in and we'll educate. But our preference is the ones with small children and the older individuals that may have special needs. We do have, when we do our fire prevention and education, we have persons with special needs that are independent livers. They're living independently. So we make sure that we go down on 2nd Street and we talk to individuals and we teach them some of the things they can do. Just because they have some type of disability don't mean that they can't do certain things. And so we try to make sure that they're educated, and we provide a means by which they can feel as safe as possible in their environment. And in the event of emergency, they'll know what to do. So the training that we provide is on various levels. It all depends on who we're speaking with. I can do a training with that group, but I can also do a training with individuals that are our age. I'll say our age, since I know you're probably a little younger than that, but with our age, because we're talking about cooking fire, and we know what grandma did and what old wives' tales say do in the event of a grease fire. We know about certain things, but there's certain things as an adult that adults need to know, because you have that child education, and then you have the middle school, and then now we're an adult with children, and there's a different type of training. So we provide training on every different aspect. Just give us a call. That's what we do.
Of course, I was muted again. Okay, Trooper Kramer, your experience working with people with disabilities.
We, from our training academy, when you're first hired in, you go through our police academy. Our troopers actually go through training for that. We have been through special autism training. We go through, I've gone through mental health training for juvenile and for adults. We actually work with my partner and I. We have been to the Michigan School for the Deaf as far as working with the deaf community. I know right out of the academy, I have I still have it, if it's almost 24 years old now, but it was a little card of simple sign, how to ask for a driver's license, registration. I still remember proof of insurance. I've had, a traffic stop with a person from the deaf community, and it's, one way I handled it, as soon as I realized that, I pull out my notepad. I can write down questions, they can read it, they can write the answer back, and, we learn to communicate that way. People with, other disabilities, we have a constant training program going on with the state police, whether, now with COVID, it's online, but, we're going into Lansing, signing up and taking different programs all the time. I see Liddell Lewis, who we do a lot with, just commented in here about teaching in this. We run a Citizens Academy for the community, which Liddell has attended, and things that we do talk and we do teach about in there. But especially for our officers on the road, it's important to understand. And a lot of it, I'll say, like Kinra was saying, a lot of it comes with experience. I was a training officer with the department for several years, and some of the new folks, for example, we stopped an individual. My trainee thought it was a drunk driver, and I realized it was a diabetic issue. Things like that you realize, okay, there's, I'm talking to him after there was no scent of alcohol, no signs of alcohol. What else could be wrong here? So you're going over kind of the different avenues of things like that. A lot of it working with the people with disabilities is on us to just look a little bit beyond face value sometimes and try to think about, okay, what else is going on here? Something's not adding up here, and a lot of that, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I wish we all could do it, boom, right out of the gate, everything. We just don't. But state police does have lots of training reference working with people with disabilities. We specifically go through training for people with disabilities.
Thank you for that. And there was an offer from Laura, and I'll connect you with her in case you are interested in any other training opportunities, because it sounds like they can offer those. So I want to also think about, people often have like a really narrow view of what each of your roles entails. If you could, and we'll start with Kenra, just tell us what do the employment opportunities look like for, I don't know if you guys are hiring, but if people are interested, who should they contact? How should they find out about that? And the same thing as well for the fire department and the Michigan State Police.
We actually are hiring right now because we're not at a complete staff. Generally, you do it online. You're going to go to GeneseeCounty911.org. There's a careers section on there, and you're able to fill out the application. You can either print it off and bring it to the center in person, or you can finish filling it out online and it will email to our center here once you're done. You do have to give a copy of your driver's license, though. The job here, a lot of people, I could never do your job. It's not hard. I tell people all the time, anybody can learn to do this job, but you do have to be a particular type of person to do this job. Like, you kind of have to have really thick skin, not kind of, you have to have very thick skin to do this job, because, before the fire department gets there, before the police gets there, before the ambulance gets there, we're encountering a lot of irate people most of the time because we're their first point of contact. So you have to be prepared for what you're going to get. And it's nothing like you see on TV. It's nothing like you see in the movies. You just have to experience it for yourself. But it's not a bad job. The pay is very good. and it can be a very fun job, and it's enlightening. You can learn some very great skills that can help you out in life and with other employment.
That's great to hear. And if you heard that correctly, they are hiring. So I have put the correct link in for our survey registration. If you please could go to tinyurl.com/CFI Go Mad. And that is in the comment section. And we will definitely get a summary from each of the folks that's on about job opportunities, how to apply, and we will be posting that on Facebook, because people are looking for good jobs, and hearing that, 911 dispatchers can make good money might be an incentive for the right person to have that job. Deputy Chief Edwards, could you give us some highlights about employment opportunities available with the Flint Fire Department?
So currently the Flint Fire Department, we are hiring like right now. And so the application period is open and it closes May 14th. May 14th it closes. I have to make sure my flyer's right. And so what it is, a lot of people, they have a hard time grasping the concept of firefighter EMT training. We hire individuals that are 18 years of age with a high school diploma or GED. In order to do the job of a firefighter, EMT, or paramedic, you have to go to school and you have to get those state and national certifications. The blessed thing about here is that we hire you with your high school diploma or GED, and we provide that training for you. So you're actually being paid for 7 to 8 months to sit in the classroom so that we can give you those certifications that you can take across the country and work anywhere. Okay. And so before I talk about the pay, because when I put it out, people were like, oh, that's all they make as firefighters? No, that's not all they make as firefighters. They are being paid to sit in a classroom to gain the skills so that they can be a firefighter EMT and provide service to the community. Although all you see from us is putting the wet stuff on the red stuff, there's actually a science behind it. You have to know how to be safe, when to be safe. There's some fires we don't put out. So you have to learn, and you have to read and learn the science of fire, plus an emergency medical technician. You have to learn how to provide those services in accordance with the national. Okay, it's not just local or state, it's national. And so for the first 7 months, you are in a classroom learning. Once you get those certifications that you need in order to work here, then the pay increases, and because now you're actually providing EMS services, and you're actually a firefighter putting out fires. We have positions open, and we are looking for individuals to align with our department. Once again, this is a 23-year physical career. This is a physical job. Okay, so all my athletes, okay, all my athletes, my runners, all those individuals that like team sports, you like the team concept, because as a firefighter, you don't do anything by yourself. Okay, there's not one firefighter running up to a house trying to put that out. No, there's 4 or 5 trucks, about 20 people. Okay, we do everything as a team. You'll see the whole truck at a store. Once they come to work, 24 on, 48 off, 9 days a month, people. You work 9 days a month. If that doesn't interest you, really, 9 days, I'll let that sink in. 9 days a month, okay? And so a lot of that, you're fighting fire and you're in the station. That's where we eat, sleep, and live for those 24 hours, and we train so that we can be prepared for any situation that arises. But we are hiring. And yes, if you have 3 kids in college, a mortgage, a house, and a boat, and a house up north, yeah, that'd be a little bit, this not the job for you. But if you're 18, 21, 22, 23, get out of mom's basement. Why don't you come and get this career? Get this career. Parents, encourage your kids to come here, because we do everything safely. We're not just going to send them in the fire. We train them, and we know. But give us a shot. I didn't say you needed college or anything like that. If you're going to advance up the ladder, yes, you will have to have some type of training in college. But you work 9 days a month, people. 9 days a month. You have time to do that. And we don't have a fire every minute of every day.
Yeah, I think you have some people considering a job change when you say 9 days a month and you provide all the training. That's something that can be very tempting. And I also just want to say that if there are people that are interested in that opportunity, although you can take those skills and national certifications anywhere in the country, we hope that you will stay and serve the Flint community.
Yes. This is my love. The Flint community, that's my heart. This is my love. So yeah.
Thank you.
But if I get you here, I know you'll stay.
Yes. And we'll get that opportunity also posted shortly. Trooper Kramer, tell us what employment opportunities might exist with Michigan State Police.
You know, I've been doing this job long enough to know that I hate following Deputy Chief Edward, because she does such a good job. She's animated. I mean, she got me thinking about joining the fire department. But I'm going to try. My brother's a firefighter down in Roseville, so he'd side with you all day long. So I'm not going to turn him on to you. But as far as we go, we are hiring. We've been constantly hiring for years. We have a very large attrition rate going on right now. Meaning when I came in the 90s, we're all leaving now. You know, we've hit our retirement age, so they're kind of backfilling and then adding to the slots. Our requirements, you do have to be 21 years old by the time you graduate in an academy. And like the fire department, sorry, Carrie, I'm gonna pole vault off your information a little bit. We also are one of the few agencies left that actually pay you to train to become a certified police officer. If you were to put yourself through that school, went to Mott, you know, any Macomb College, you know, whatever the case may be, it's going to cost you about $6,000-7,000 just to put yourself through that academy, and then hope that you get hired on by a police agency before your certification expires. Joining the state police, we do all that for you. Through the recruiting process, you do have to be 21 by the time you would graduate a school. Our schools are roughly about 6 months long, so if you turn 21 during the school, you're fine. We also only require a high school diploma or a GED. We pay you while you're in our training. While you're in our training, you live in Lansing Sunday through Friday, and you are paid your paycheck. And mind you, like Carrie said with the fire department, this is just for you to be trained to do the job. This is not you on the streets being in danger. You're bringing home about $1,400 every 2 weeks paycheck. Plus, while you're at the academy, you don't have any expenses. We're paying for your food, we're paying for your lodging, your heating, and all that stuff while you're at the academy. It's not costing you anything. And then when you do graduate the academy, you are guaranteed a position at one of the posts. Then you get a post selection. Then when you come to your post assignment, you're on training for another 17 weeks where you're working with a variety of different, usually in 3 phases, different training officers to get you up to the point where you can then work out on the road by yourself. To apply for our job, it's www.mi.gov/MSP jobs. And the first step is taking the civil service entry-level law enforcement exam. Big, long name, but that can be signed up for online. And during COVID, they are actually offering it online. So you didn't even have to go to a test location, anything like that. I am a recruiter, hint, hint, wink, wink. I'll throw that out there. I already put my email information out there. Get in touch with me, especially I work out of the Flint Post. I try to recruit locally as well. We get complaints from the community. Now's your chance to do something about it. Be part of the solution. And sometimes that's what it takes. We do pay, like Kinra said, we pay, comparatively to the rest of the world right now, especially with COVID going on, we pay pretty good. Your first year out of the training, your first year, you're around $55,000 a year. And that's not including overtime and, shift premiums and, different things like that. And I can't top Carrie, but I'm going to, try to come close. We're on 12-hour shifts now, so we only work 14 days a month. It's not 9, but, it's not bad. That's, of course, our shifts are bid by seniority and things like that. But just getting your foot in the door, we pay for all your training while you're on the job. We pay for all of your equipment. We're supplying weapons, ammunition, the uniform, the bullet resistant vest, all the tools that we have to do the job is supplied by the department. So there's, we have full benefits the day you start the academy, medical, dental, and vision benefits. You start accruing sick time, vacation time. We have 13 paid holidays a year. I'm pitching this hard. I know I see some smiles going
pitching
on.
hard, but you are a recruiter, and it is a great opportunity. And I think that if someone was interested in any of these opportunities and they have a heart to serve the community, that being a 911 dispatcher, being a Michigan State Police trooper, or being a part of our fire department would all be worthy ventures. So as we conclude our conversation today, I want to offer each of you the opportunity to just have some final words. So whatever you want people to take away from today's conversation, and we will start with Carrie. We will start with Kinra, and we will end with Deputy Chief Carrie Edwards so that Trooper Kramer doesn't have to follow her.
Okay, well, one thing that I would like to throw out, because I'm not sure how many people in the community know, but just real quick, we here are funded by a service charge on every device that you have that's like hooked up to a phone. So like your cell phone, your landline, or if you have a tablet with a cell phone line to it, it's a surcharge. It's $1.86 a month. And so there is a vote coming up for a renewal. And I just wanted to put that out to the public. It is May 4th, and it's not to raise it. It's just to renew the surcharge. The other thing I wanted to say is I really wanted to thank you for this opportunity, Essence, you and Communities First, because unlike Deputy Chief Carrie and Trooper Kramer, we as dispatchers are not so much out in the public. They don't get to see our face. They don't get to talk to us, and they don't really get to understand what it is that we do, but we are the first person that they talk to. So I appreciate having a platform to put this information out there just to give the people a bit more of an understanding of what we do and why we do what we do, because I believe for 911, there's a gap between us and the citizens. And so I would like to build a bridge so that, you know, it's more open and we can have these discussions and they can understand better and we can understand them better. I want it to go both ways, where we can make the 911 process as smooth as possible and be as helpful as we can to each other. So thank you again.
Thank you for that. And I think there are more opportunities in the future. So thank you for your enthusiasm and your passion for the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. It does not go unnoted, even if sometimes it's in, you know, you're in the background and people don't know what you do. We appreciate you. So thank you. Trooper Kramer.
You know, closing thoughts. I just want the general public to know that sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but we're trying. You know, we want to be engaged with you. I put my information out there and I did get I saw some positive comments out there. Reach out to me. Like I said, if it's just you want me to talk to a group, if you want to, you know, we used to do community meetings in local, you know, we change up the venue, and as soon as restrictions allow us to do that, we'd be happy to do that. You know, my assistant post commander, Lieutenant Jeff Short, is very involved in the community, and he's willing to, you know, we attend a lot of these community meetings. I'm attending the Evergreen Neighborhood Association meeting this Saturday. You know, I attend the FNU meeting every month. We just did an event with the Girl Scouts out in Flint. You know, that's my job. I enjoy it because it's important. I want you to know that we are available to engage with your community, to have honest, real talks with you. If I don't have the answer, I will get the answer for you. But, you know, again, to reiterate what I said earlier, I want us all to work together. There's no reason any of us should be working against each other. I also want to just thank you for the opportunity to bring us on here. Things like this are huge. They're important. You put me in very good company here today. You know, it was tough trying to kind of measure up to these two young ladies here, but I think I held my own. I'm just throwing that out there. But no, always a pleasure to work with all of you guys. Like I said, I've had the pleasure of working with Carrie a lot in the past, and we always have a good time, but at the same time, we get our job done, and that's what it's all about. So thank you for having me. I look forward to any opportunities that arise out of this.
Thank you for that. And I'm grateful that all three of you are doing the work that you're doing and that you work together to keep our community safe. And, you know, you're all great people, and that's why we invited you to be on. So thank you, Trooper Kramer. And Deputy Chief Edwards, we're going to have you bring us home. We won't have you do it in song because I know that you're often called upon to sing, but today we'll just let you have final words. Unless you want to sing, and I'm sure people will be happy to hear you.
Thank you for this opportunity. And these are our community partners. And Kira, when you was at the 911 center here, you're part of our union and we're family, and you're still a part of that. Because without you two, we can't do what we do safely and efficiently. And so thank you for this opportunity, but thank you for just being who you are and providing the support to the community that I love. And I just appreciate it, not just Flint, Genesee County, but all around. It's about people, and it's about providing the best possible service that we can. And this group right here that comes together, we need to stay together and do some things together so that individuals know you're first base when it comes to police. He's first base when it comes to fire. We're first base, but you're the lead here. We wouldn't get a call without you. We wouldn't know anything of what we're going into. We are here at the fire department. We're here for the community. It's all about you. We exist to service you. It's all about the community. And so please, please, please always remember that whatever your needs are, if there's something that we could do here at the fire department, my fire chief and our firefighters, we're here. We have even done drive-by birthdays. I mean, we do whatever we can during COVID to get out to let you know that we're still here and we're still available and providing service because your safety is our #1 priority. And thank you, Essence. I really appreciate Communities First for just bringing us together because it is so good to see you all and to know that we're still operating during this time. Thank you.
All right, so just one final reminder for everyone. Please go ahead and fill out the registration form. It is tiny URL. Here, actually. Boom, there we go. Correct link is tinyurl.com/CFI Go Mad. And Go Mad is Go Make a Difference. And that comes from a football coach that our president and CEO had when he was in college, who just said, whenever you go out on the field, whenever you're out in the community, go make a difference. And that's what we're challenging and encouraging every resident to do as they go about their daily life. Make a difference somewhere, somehow. And one way you can do that is knowing what to do in case of emergency. Thank you all for being with us, and thank you for the audience for listening. Hope that you were able to get something meaningful out of today's session. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will be talking with you guys soon.